growth in life come from situations where you feel most uncomfortable. And today I'm going to share my testimony with you to prove my point. I was a newborn baby hanging from a wooden basket from the ceiling in a room with about 40 other children, all who were parentless and malnutritioned. However, only a select few of them are going to be promised a family. My personality traits and characteristics have shaped me throughout my life in innumerable ways. However, the story of me being adopted is the backbone of who I am. My forever family adopted me when I was 8 months old from a third world country called Cambodia. A man and a woman who looked nothing like me were now my mother and father. As a child, going out in public was difficult at times. I remember when I was 8 years old, I went to my brother's baseball game and I was sitting next to my mother. A lady next to us heard me refer to my mother as Mom, and she turned over and looked at us and said, "Oh, she calls you Mom? That's so cute." My mother ignored her comment as she was used to it. However, I was not used to it, and I took it into offense that I felt as if I didn't have the right to call the woman who traveled across the world and saved my life Mom. When I was 12 years old, I began getting curious about my roots. I began asking myself questions with no answers, not knowing who I came from or what I did to make the two people who brought me into this world abandon me. These questions got into my head, and soon it led me to depression. Some mornings, I would wake up and look in the mirror and see a stranger staring back at me. I would always be so hard on myself as to why I didn't look like the rest of my family. I hated who I was on the inside and out. The feeling of not knowing who I was really took a toll on me. I began isolating myself from my family and cutting off healthy relationships. I hated being held accountable, so I did what was easiest and left. I struggled big time with discernment and eventually started hanging around a group of kids who got me into an even darker place. Halfway through my senior year, I ended up in a hospital. I had lost 75% of my blood and had a blood count level of only 3. The doctors to this day still don't understand how I made it out, but I remember laying in the hospital bed knowing that I was about to lose my life. I had to get myself together, and all at once, I felt love. For the first time, I finally let myself experience love. Love that others had been pouring into me, and love from myself in appreciation towards my life, because I finally felt purpose, and I was so desperate for my life. A few months after getting out of the hospital, I decided to visit Cambodia, my birth country. I was petrified, to say the least, extremely petrified, but somehow I knew that this would bring me peace, so I hopped on a plane and went. The first step I took foot, I felt extremely overwhelmed in freeness and freedom and broken bondage. I felt as if every bag that I had been carrying on my back that I wasn't supposed to carry had finally been lifted. And I stayed for 4 months and I taught English to schools and orphanages, and the feeling that I got while being in Cambodia was extremely euphoric, and it has definitely shaped my life, and it made me realize that I was finally putting my God-given purpose to use. I was going out and I was changing lives, and that is what sets me on fire. As we returned home, my family and I began an industry called Grace Winds Ministries. The ministry will visit Battambang, Cambodia every summer and supply the children with educational purposes, and eventually provide free health care. I am Selvin Grace Fox, and I was adopted from Cambodia. In any given circumstance, I beat the odds. I learn from my pain, and I thrive in every step I take. I have a fire inside of me to change the world that is contagious. I am compassionate, empathetic, loving, caring, disciplined, determined, and can love like no one else. I am going to become a motivational speaker and touch every heart I come into contact with. To say that life is hard would be an understatement, but the key concept we must learn in life is that pain is always temporary. It is okay to feel pain and sadness and anger and grief, but it's not okay to let these emotions consume you.